broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Cathy's about to go live with a solo. Take it away, Cathy.
I don't want to.
How'd it go? What was the other song they sang? Quick, slow.
And it was going to be a new harmony for...
Oh my goodness, welcome everyone to AfterBuzz TV. We are here with the Bachelorette After Show. My name is not JC Rubio, it's Daniel Jacob Hoyt. My mom calls me Danny, sometimes she calls me Bubba, but more importantly, I'm here with my two friends, and we are going to host this show.
Sometimes she calls you her least favorite child.
She only has one other child, so that's really bad if that happens. That's never happened.
You're the second favorite.
I am the second favorite. That's how I prefer
Positive
it.
thinking.
Can you please announce who you are, Miss Beautiful Voice?
Cathy Kelley. Thanks.
Looking very nice. Your dress. Welcome back from Miami.
Thanks.
Yes, I saw your Instagram. I follow you on the Instagram.
On the Instagram?
With the sweat. Was it very hot?
Yes, it was very sweaty.
With the sweat. I followed you on Instagram with the sweat.
With the sweat. Brooks, you were at a splash bash this weekend.
Yeah,
Lots of
Splash
sweat,
House.
too.
If you guys have never heard of that and
Welcome
you guys
back.
are into pool party things, that's a good time.
I just turned my volume up so I can hear you, Brooks.
Yes, my name is Brooks, and I'm excited for tonight.
Yeah, and who do we got back in the booth tonight?
Hi, my name's Mark. I'm a person in a booth.
Mark Donica.
Mark, you sound like someone who should announce like turtle races or something like that, or like.
We got Donatello coming up on the first. It's gonna be 20 seconds until he reaches the first inch.
See what I mean? Like you should announce fun contests. That's what your voice sounds like. But anyways, we've
The
got
fun contest.
You don't
The
know
fun
this,
cut.
but Mark is one of my favorite people on the planet.
Mark's awesome.
I don't know that either.
You should tell him more.
Yeah.
Do we have a camera on Mark? Can you see Mark?
Yeah.
Not
No,
us.
it's too big. I'm too tall.
Oh, well, there we go. Guys, here's the deal. I want to say something before we get into the show. We talked about this. Tonight is kind of the episode when everything changes, when it becomes a lot more relationship-centric.
Serious.
Very serious. So, for us, we like to have fun the first couple shows of the season. Obviously, there's, relationships are just starting to build. The show itself, The Bachelorette, is a lot more fun-driven. It's a lot more gimmicky, but now it kind of shifts. So, our show here at AfterBuzz also kind of shifts. So I just want to say, by the way, thank you for all the positive feedback. I know a lot of people know that, but for those of you that don't, or maybe you're newer this season, that's kind of the trajectory we take with the show. Mm-hmm. And I guess we all just kind of want to make that clear. Like we've made some jokes and had some fun, but tonight it kind of changes. Not that we won't.
They clearly like goofing around on the show. I mean, there were no short of dick jokes and stuff tonight, but...
I'm sorry, what jokes?
Nothing.
Dick Joe.
Right on cue, as if we rehearsed it. Great job, Mark. We love it. By the way, JC sends his love from afar. He could not be with us tonight, but he's working. So we will hold it down. Myself, Brooks, and Cathy, and Mark back in the booth.
Dick Joe.
Perfect. All right. Hi, Mom. Sorry about that. Okay, so before we get started, by the way, I want to thank everyone. We've had a ton of feedback this season. We have people tweeting us constantly, which I love.
It's not at all because of Brooks.
Not at all because of Brooks. At zero to do with you, Brooks. Don't get a big head.
Dang it! I was gonna pull some Ian moves and be like, well, I mean, who wouldn't want to tweet me? I mean, I'm
good looking,
X, Y, I'm Z, and I've
great cheekbones.
Yeah, and I've
straight teeth. The 5 o'clock shadow all the time.
And I can pull off black.
You went for the obvious one because we're in a black shirt. I expected more creativity out of you.
Well,
Brooks.
I didn't want to people to actually take me seriously. That
I don't think anybody takes you seriously, so it's okay.
Yeah, everyone knows you can't pull off.
So by the way, though, we've gotten a ton of feedback, and we want to say thank you. Honestly, that's why we do this, is for you guys. So when you guys respond, Twitter, and I know there's a lot of stuff happening on Instagram and YouTube. Comments have been going crazy, so we appreciate the fun ones especially.
Yeah.
And we respond. You know, like even if we don't do it live. On the show, after the fact,
behind your back, it's happening. And also, real quick, I want to talk about this. We guys,
say it to my face.
Say it to my face. Huh? Let's talk about this. Okay, here we go. By the way, all those comments, and we do read them, and don't miss a chance. I want to talk about this to take our very important listener survey on podcast1.com. I want to say it again, podcast1.com. Your responses help us make the show the very best it can be. It'll only take approximately 3 minutes of your time. You'll get the instant gratification that comes with knowing that you helped Kathy Brooks, I out. So you can tell us how you really feel about the show. Help us get to know you better, which is important because we love knowing our fans. So if you can do it now, go to podcast1.com. That's podcast1.com. Mark, can I get an echo? Podcast1.com?
Podcast1.com.
And keep those tweets coming. Thank you guys so much.
I mean, that's how we are able to bring these free episodes to them every single week. Can't complain. It's a free show.
It's a free show.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the show. We're 5 minutes, 7 minutes. Jeez, time goes so fast. All right. We saw last week, it ended with this moment of about to see Nick walk in the room. Tonight we start with Nick going up to the elevator, the 7th floor, and he walks into the room. It could not be more of like a cricket moment. Like,
well, they definitely had it set up where all the guys are on top of each other on the couch, and then they give him an entire couch himself.
It's like
they've gotten a bigger couch, I think. Initially, the producers were like, "Nah, get a bigger one." It was just a single chair, and bigger.
I said last season, or last Nick season, Andy season. I said that he looked like a little kid, and he looked like a little kid again because they put him in the
Mariachi outfit.
Well, that too, yeah.
Yeah, geez, we'll get to that. Yeah,
that's what I thought you were referring to.
It was almost like the guys got to conduct their own ITM interview with Nick. Like it was in the moment. The parallel?
Yeah, it was very good.
They got to do this little moment with Nick, but it was interesting. The person that piped up initially, we never really heard have a combative moment with Nick again, which is Tanner. Tanner was so inquisitive of Nick, like it kind of threw me off.
It was an interrogation. He was like, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, and
they were all valid questions.
Valid questions, and I have to hand it to Nick. They were valid answers, too. He didn't come in guns a-blazing. He kind of came in and was like, here's what it is, raw, stripped away. Here's why I'm here. And I felt like that smoothed things over. But then you had people like Shawn, who were obviously chooses to call him the other guy. And Josh asked a few questions. He had a problem with Nick saying cool chick.
Yeah,
do you use that language?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares?
I think what Josh was trying to get at, and even later in the show, he has good intentions. It's just not necessarily, it doesn't come across the right way because I think that he gets caught in the moment, caught in his emotions. And what I think he was trying to articulate was that he didn't think that Nick was taking it seriously. And by calling her a cool chick versus an amazing woman, a cool chick is someone, oh yeah, you could date a cool chick. I think what he was saying is that an amazing woman more parallels like the person you want to marry.
So you never end up with a cool chick.
No, I'm saying.
So when your friend's like, hey, your friend, she's a real cool chick, you're like, well, she'll be single forever then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I don't really have a problem. I would say that. I would say that about a girl that I'm dating. I would say she's a cool chick. And
I think what he was trying to say is that he was thinking that Nick wasn't taking this seriously, and that's the point he was trying to get across. It didn't actually come out that way.
So we would have two moments like that, because you're saying he came from a good place, but it came off wrong, and we see that again later with him, and Shawn kind of backs him up a little bit.
I get that way a lot. Like, I can't formulate sentences when I get emotional, so I completely get him.
A quick shout out to everybody on the chat roll here. We are live on YouTube right now, and there are people chiming in. We already have someone that's chimed in. Has tweeted me actually, Barb Omika, who is dubbed Nick.
I felt left out.
She's given him a nickname. I think it's a she, Barb Omika. Can you guess what it is?
Nick the Dick?
Yes!
Yeah, because I saw it in chat roll and I love it.
But here's the thing, I completely disagree. I don't think he's a dick, so I'm sorry.
Just because he follows you on Twitter.
No, that's not it. Actually, I really was impressed with Nick this entire episode, off the top. I know that, Kathy, you were not Nick's biggest cheerleader last season. And so coming in tonight, I want to ask you specifically, did Nick win you over tonight?
I am a fan of him on the show because I think that it adds another level of entertainment. He is the villain, or accidental villain as he likes to call himself. But I don't know. I kind of side with Joshua in that I feel like he came in and there was a little bit of him feeling like he was better than the other guys. That's just the vibe that I got, and that's not knocking him at all. It is knocking him a little bit. But he's hilarious too. So I can't fault him for coming back and
Sure. Brooks,
getting his 16th minute.
You've been on the season. Let's say you were sitting on that couch and this happens. Are you asking questions that night, and what questions are you asking?
No, and I actually thought about that while I was watching the show. I wrote down, like, who cares? Like, they're making a big deal out of what seemed to not be a big deal. I mean, the question was, like, why not night one? For obvious reasons. Like, that's a poor question. He
Producers.
Yeah, he most likely wanted to come night one and wasn't allowed that opportunity. So I just don't think that him coming in late in the mix does anything to threaten them. And I don't feel like they should be threatened. And we see this, like, setup where they all kind of feel, somewhat threatened by him being there, and maybe has a leg up because he got a text her before. But they've all had first dates and group dates. So, like, real, like, live interactions. So I felt like that was a really swayed opinion to say, like, texting and or maybe some Snapchats back and forth.
But the big thing, I think, is that they had never met. Mm-hmm. And he said this several times. He's like, I just wanted to meet the girl. You know, most often when you meet someone, and he's like, I just wanted to at least meet her.
Yeah.
I can't fault him for that.
I don't think any of the guys are mad at him. I think that they're kind of questioning their relationship with her, because if she does see her husband already there, why does she need to bring in more guys?
Right, and here's the thing. If I'm a guy and feeling that I'm not mad at Nick, I'm questioning her, but I can't take that out on her, because then I risk having the conversation Josh had with her where it's like, oh crap, this went south quick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I agree. I feel like there could be guys that feel, okay, I may be questioning her decision making, but it also is a good decision to make. To say, I don't know if I can move on in my relationship with you or you or you, while Nick is still out there and I could actually have him on. That's an opportunity for me. Yeah. He's here. If she were to say no to that, then exactly what Nick said about Andy, he said, I don't want to be with a girl who doesn't ultimately want to be with me. It's not the best fit. So why should those guys should feel the same way about Nick?
It's hard not to feel threatened, though. Like, if in a real world experience, not on a TV show, if you've ever dated someone and you thought that you had a great connection, and then you find out that they're also dating someone else, or I've had, like, friends who they've been in relationships and they're like, well, I don't know if I want this. I'm gonna date other people, but then ultimately, like, I don't know. It's a
tough situation.
It's hard not to compare yourself to that other person, and this only amplifies it.
Sure. Well, yeah, so we see that scene, and we see specifically two people. Shawn and Ben both say they're gonna take a step back and put their guards back up, which is interesting because those are the two people that took their guards down.
Seem like she has the biggest connections with right now,
which was very interesting. Well, and I thought it was interesting that she said the word, like, they both said, I'm gonna put my guard back up. They show them saying this, or at least their voices saying this, and then those are specifically the two people that let their guards down. So we'll get to that later. But let's get to this cocktail party. First of all, they go to Citi Field and have it to themselves under the lights. How cool is that?
Very cool.
That was awesome. And Brooks, you actually said this. One of the cooler rose podiums we've ever seen. It was like a cage filled with baseballs and roses. That was awesome. On the pitcher's mound?
Yeah, and I thought about this date as well, because this is the first travel date. Did I miss? Am I misthinking? The
second. First one was
New York, and then but this is a continuance, so it was kind of confusing.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like this is the first time when, having been on the show myself, I feel like it's the first time you actually start to somewhat have possessions. Like, people have these feelings of like, oh, she's my girlfriend, or you start to see people slightly separate a little bit and hold to their own.
Sure.
In the way that they communicate. They're still friends, but that becomes the first time that I think the house in general, and watching, that's what it felt like as well. We saw people kind of,
they know their place, like, they know whether they have a connection or not, and that's where Ian was like, I don't have a connection.
Yeah, Ian kind of, like, he was all over the place today. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's save that and talk about Ian as a whole because there's so much to him. So we'll talk about that later. But so Citi Field, Kaitlyn says at the top of the party if anyone wants to talk about it. And Jonathan, who was the last person I expect to pipe up, but pipes up and is like, no, we want to focus on you. So there's some interesting moments. Kaitlyn, says to Shawn B, do you trust me? And he says, I don't know if your decisions, your actions are matching up. You can see that affected her.
Yes.
She said she was almost going to cry. He kind of called her out there.
And she really reassured him, too. She was like, listen, I've told you multiple times. And so I felt like that was her saying, amongst all of the guys, I just think that's a big commitment to go and say that. She must really have strong feelings for him. Because from everything that we've seen so far about Kaitlyn, I think she does a great job of communicating. Like, she says what she means, and it's pretty clear what she wants, and I think she's done a really great job with that. So with Shawn, with the people, we're seeing that with particular guys, we know who she's into.
Yeah,
she doesn't lead them on in ways that are up for misinterpretation.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we see get to the roses here. She's passing them out. They kind of, dramatize the music up for Nick and Joshua because that's kind of been a battle, and Joshua gets it, and then it comes down to the last rose. It shows the way the camera showed it that it looks like she paused and really thought about it in that moment. Do you guys think it was actually that long, or did she know she was going to pick Nick?
She knew she was going to pick Nick. She wouldn't have brought him back if she didn't.
Yeah. That would be kind of salty. Bring him in for a day and then be like...
Had so much drama and then to cut him, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, she kind of has to validate her decision.
Yeah.
Otherwise the guys are going to question more like, why did you put us through that for a day? Yeah. By the way, they were freezing their...
Walls off.
Baseballs.
Their baseball's off. Well done, Brooks. Well done,
I made up for lack of creativity earlier.
You did. That was good. I didn't see that one coming. So
I'm so pissed off still that we don't get the rose ceremonies until the next week because I forget what happened half the time.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I'd rather just have a fresh start with the guys that are there every single week.
It throws off my Bachelorette equilibrium.
I kind of like it.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
Give me three reasons why now.
Well, it starts. The show is just different.
Okay,
and there's one. I'll give you 100 reasons why. And I like that it makes me think about what happened on the previous episodes. Okay, it's like instant recall. I have to remember that.
Total recall. So 3 people go home. Jonathan.
Two reasons.
Yeah, I know. I let him off the hook for the third one. Thank you. Jonathan, Ryan, and I actually can't remember the third guy's name. He's the guy that looked like Slick Rick, Wall Street guy. He's 30 years old. I
still can't remember his name.
I cannot remember his name for the life. Somebody please chime in real quick.
He's still on the show. I forgot about that.
Who's the third guy? That was Jonathan, Ryan, and who's the third guy that went home?
I think his name's...
Somebody chime in. I mean, 5, 4, 3, 2, unless they're behind.
Rachel agrees with you, Kathy. I didn't want to say that.
Everyone agrees with me.
She highlighted it.
But long story short, those 3 guys. By the way, Chris Harrison pops out of nowhere with his... He just like appears. How do you appear in the middle of a baseball field? I thought that was
they made him walk from the
dugout.
From the what are the pitchers pitching?
The mound?
No, in the back. Like
the bullpen.
God.
You didn't say it in your voice, Mark. I don't know if we can take it from
bullpen.
There it is. we need all your voices. Okay, so the next one, she says you guys can put away your fight through the cold because we're going somewhere warm. They go to San Antonio. Kathy, have you been there?
I think I might have.
You'd remember the Riverwalk. So maybe you went to San Antonio,
really
but not
young,
the... Okay.
Real young.
Okay.
Yeah.
Corey is the guy that went home. They said it's Corey. That's right. Corey. Thank you, chat roll, for Vera Happiness and Atomic 1107.
And Joseph Boza.
He's always coming to... And Raquel Peralta.
Everyone. They all know it.
You guys all know I'm
stupid.
Sorry. You didn't know either. Okay, so they go to San Antonio, which I have to say this. I was just there maybe 2 months ago. One of my favorite cities, down on the Riverwalk. Awesome date place. I've never been on a date there. I want to take... Like, it would be the perfect... I've been there with my family every time I go, which is awesome, but it would be a perfect place to go for a date. It is so freaking cool. And
I was really surprised.
Yeah, it's a blast and a half. So, date card. First one comes to Ben H. Let's take our love one step at a time. Did you guys know this was going to be dancing right away? Did you pick up on that? You didn't?
No, I didn't.
You're stupid. You're dumb. You're an idiot.
You're dumb.
I wasn't even paying attention, I don't think.
Before we get into this date, I want to talk about another show that's coming up. It's Astronaut Wives Club, real quick, so you guys can talk amongst yourselves over there while I talk about this real quick. Astronaut Wives Club. This summer on ABC, it's a flashback to the 1960s. Actually, there was a promo for the show during The Bachelorette. I saw this, but it's when America's racing to send a man into space. This is kind of crazy. 7 elite pilots become the country's first astronauts. But while these brave men are being hurtled through space on a death-defying mission, the press turn the spotlight on their wives who are sitting at home following their every move. Now, American audiences could not get enough as the husbands become heroes. The wives then rocket, pun intended, to stardom. It's amazing. Based on the best-selling book, if you haven't read it, The Astronaut Wives Club, it's amazing. Astronaut Wives Club is the story of the first ladies of space through triumph and tragedy. They forged a friendship that lasted more than 50 years. The countdown is on for the fun and thrilling story behind the greatest adventure in American history. It may have only been one small step for man, but it was one giant leap in high heels for all of America's most famous wives. This summer, blast off on the ride of a lifetime. The Astronaut Wives Club premieres Thursday, June 18th on ABC. I hope you recorded that, Mark.
Blast off.
Blast off.
Do you know
I have a
my
question.
mom applied to be an astronaut with NASA?
What?
Yeah.
Is she
It's an
like
application?
secretly an astronaut?
And I also know the guy that invented the space toilet.
What's his name?
I forget it.
Wait, wasn't the guy that invented the real toilet? His name was like Mark Crapper or something
Cooper?
like that.
Thomas Crapper.
Thomas Crapper. Thank you.
Crapper.
You guys think I'm joking? The guy who invented the toilet, his name is Thomas Crapper. Look it up. This stuff.
Is that why they call it going to the crapper?
Do you know
Yes.
Get
that
outta here.
HEB,
don't
Heb.
the grocery stores in Texas, which would also be in San Antonio, it's Howard E. Butt, and that's why they named it HEB, because usually it's like Ralph's or like the person's name,
So
it's
you
HEB.
butt out of this.
Wait, so they just put it as his
It's
initials?
His initials instead of his actual name, because you couldn't have Butts. Who would shop at Butts?
I would. I like a good butt.
I would shop at Buzz.
All right, so let's get on to this date. They walk outside, and I think that most guys would appreciate this, and I hope girls would appreciate this too. This classic old red Ford pickup. Right away, I think I had the same reaction Josh had when he looked out the window, and he was like, he just couldn't even form a word. He was like,
I think the guys are just mad that they don't get to drive whatever cars.
I think that's very telling, by the way, of Ben. Right away, he let her drive. He didn't even fight
I think the
I don't think
producers
he
told
can.
him that she was driving.
I hate to do this, so I'm going to agree with Kathy here.
Really? He wouldn't
Did
have
you
the
get
choice?
to drive whatever cars? Yeah.
Yeah,
Were you given the choice? Okay.
no.
Wait, why? So I don't understand.
Liability issues, I'm sure.
But haven't guys driven things before? Didn't somebody drive Dez's Bentley?
No, because I was the one that was in that Bentley, the teal one.
Yeah.
The teal Bentley. No,
I prefer sky blue, but are you
Yeah.
colorblind?
No, it was teal, wasn't it?
It was sky blue.
No, we'll look it up later.
I wasn't even on the season. You were in
It
it.
was teal. I
Fans,
fairly.
are you on
certain.
Team Brooks or Team Danny? Let us know. Sky blue or teal? I'd
Is
like
the
to
sky
know.
blue's not even a real
I'm gonna guess that no matter what the color actually is, they're all gonna go with Brooks.
Probably, but I'm
Let's see.
pretty sure it was sky blue.
People are still talking about butts and
They
chat.
haven't caught up yet.
Butts and blue. Okay, here we go. So they get in the truck. They get to drive off. They go to this small town, to this oldest dance hall. It's called Groon, or was it Green?
I thought they were saying green, but
I
it was
thought they were-
spelled groove.
I was very
I
confused.
thought it was seafoam.
That was funny. I like that. I see what you did there. Did you write that out? Did you have that planned?
Yep.
That's pretty freaking great, Cathy Kelley. They're entered into a two-step competition now. Brooks, you're a fan of the two-step, are you not?
Yeah, I'm a fan. Yeah, but I'm awful at it.
Are you?
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit. Like,
Quick,
you know, I've been in Texas a couple times. But the only time that I can ever dance or get through it is with
slow.
someone who's older than me, and by older I mean like
Yeah.
a
Wiser.
50 or 60-year-old woman who can really do the man's part and the female part. She can be like, all right, this is where you move your feet.
Cathy, have you two-stepped?
Yes.
You have? When?
Yeah.
In Texas?
I two-stepped in Texas last weekend when I was in
What?
Austin at a wedding. And I used to go with my dad and my stepmom all the time when I was little.
Oh, that's awesome.
In Texas, yeah.
I was actually in Austin for South by Southwest, and my roommate and I and a friend and his wife went to this. It's like some famous bar called like the Horse or the White Horse. I can't remember, but it's a
Not
two-step
that
thing.
famous.
Well, it kind of is. Like everybody, Jimmy Kimmel's on our plane, and they were all like, "Come to this place," whatever it was called. Like it's known as like the place. So, anyways,
everyone's Team Brooks, by the way.
I see Team Danny and Danny for next Bachelorette. That doesn't make sense.
Yep.
Danny replied to my tweet, and Brooks is so hot, I'm team both.
Typical Texas dance
Anyways,
contest.
yeah, I did the same thing you did. I grabbed an old lady, and she taught me how to two-step.
You grabbed an old lady?
Actually, she grabbed me, to be honest. My roommate and I were standing there, and they're like, "Let's go, youngin'," and they took us in and taught us. So,
I thought it was so adorable how Ben H was like, "This is so difficult. You have to quick, slow, and then spin, and then dip." I can't remember all of that.
But you know what? He kept a cool, kind of a childish enjoyment about it that I kind of felt felt very authentic to me.
He looked so nervous, like he wasn't focused on Kaitlyn at all. He was more focused on the moves.
Like, he was like counting in his head.
And anytime it ends with Kaitlyn or any girl being like, "I just want to sit down and have a beer and enjoy this," I'm like, good God, yes, that's... Girls, drink a beer. It's hot.
Well, it was nice, too, because I felt like Ben wanted to... He didn't want to blow it, so he was like, "I really got to focus on this." I was not going...
He was like Jared focused.
Kathy, you said he's your favorite, yeah?
Yeah.
Why? Did this enhance that?
I think it's just his personality. He's the right mix of goofy and serious, and he's not bad to look at. So.
I've become a fan of Ben H as well.
I kind of have become a fan of Ben H as well. Gosh, let us know if you guys agree with this. Are you guys fans of Ben H? If you're not, I want to know why.
Honestly, these two one-on-ones from tonight are my two favorite guys right now, Shawn and Ben H.
Agreed.
Not Nick. Where's Nick fall?
She really likes him. I think he's definitely going to be top 3.
Their chemistry when they kissed on that bench.
Yeah.
Holy.
But I feel like that's more lust. Like it looks like lust.
Well, something happens
and I don't know,
in the next episode, so maybe
they just have that foundation already because they've talked so much over the phone and via text message. But
yeah.
Which I liked. I wanted to make a comment. This is the first time we actually see some real conversations. We see it on Ben H's date.
Yeah.
We get into some real talk.
Well, let's talk about this. So, yeah, he stutters over talking about his past relationship, talking about being, it started off long distance, and it was obvious that he was struggling to share it. Almost looked at one point like he wasn't going to share what happened. Like he got close, and then he dove back in, and it turns out, we find out he was engaged.
Don't do that to us, Ben.
Did you guys feel like, because it's interesting what he said about being engaged, that the girl said that she felt like he lost the chase for her.
Mm-hmm.
What did he mean by that? Was he saying that she lost the chase or he lost the chase?
The way I took it is that, and we kind of rewound it, is that this girl he was engaged to for 2 years, they had a falling out where she basically looked at Ben H and said, "Ben, you've lost the chase for me." Even though he said his life was centered around her. Is that how you guys took it?
Yeah, I took it like he wasn't making her feel special, or he wasn't making her feel like he was pursuing her. Like it was just like, okay, cool, we're together, and that's life.
So Kathy, if you're Kaitlyn sitting there and he's being like, I was engaged, I was in a serious relationship, and she said I lost the chase. Does that put up red flags for you?
It's weird because it's both ways. Like one, I realize that this guy is willing to commit to someone because he has been engaged. He did take that step. But then also if, you do lose the chase, like you find it a chase and then you stop pursuing that person, that's also hard to hear because you don't want that to happen to you as well. That's heartbreaking.
About 36 Greeks said that Ben H seems too unsure of himself when he was about to talk about his past relationship. He got weird. And then Madison McConaughey has a great point. I think something more serious happened to Ben H, and he didn't want to share. I think he still held back. I would almost agree with that. It almost seemed like there was something else to that story, and we'll probably never know, and that's okay.
Maybe we'll see it later.
Because I do think he is someone that is going to be around for a long time, and I think deservedly so. He seems like a great guy who's genuinely into it.
If he doesn't end up with her, he'll be the next Bachelor.
It's crazy that
I'm kind of on the same team
with you.
Put it on record.
He's 26 now, and he said that was something that he hasn't talked about in 2 years. So their engagement ended when he was 24.
Which means they dated 22 to 24.
Very young to be engaged.
It is, but he also seems like a very mature guy. Even for 26, he carries himself like a 30-year-old.
I do. I mean, I know people that have gotten married earlier than that, but it's very young still.
We also got to see them in the ITMs. You usually see them separated. Yeah. They did theirs together.
Why do you think? Why is that?
I don't know. It was nice though. I like that. I'm like, do more of those.
Yeah.
I don't separate them all the time. If they're on a date together, on a one-on-one date, let them do their ITMs together.
And add executive producer to Brooke's title. Jeez.
I think that they should do it both ways, though, because you're not going to be honest about the date if the person's sitting next to you.
Yeah, but they never even gave that to us as an opportunity. Like, oh, do you want to, since you're on the one-on-one date, it was like as soon as they were done doing what you were doing, they separate you.
So Ben gets the rose, does a good job of opening up, which is exactly what Kaitlyn wanted him to do. So next we come to the group date. And it comes down, again, of course, all the names that they're listing off on the card. And it comes down to the last name on the group date is Nick. And it cuts right to Shawn, and he smiles very big because he realizes he's going to be the next one-on-one. But what's interesting is now we start to see the producers do something with this episode. Every time they cut to Josh, he's talking about is this guy shouldn't be here. I got bad guy. My guy intuition is telling me this, and blah blah blah. It's starting to annoy the crap out of me at this point.
Haven't you ever felt that in your gut about someone though? Like they're saying all the right things, but you know that something's just like not completely genuine about them. Yeah,
but I've also had it where I felt it and it hasn't panned out, and that's me projecting something else maybe that I'm feeling onto them. You know what I mean? I've had it where I've felt that about somebody, and really it turns out it was something I was feeling about
your
me.
insecurities or something like that. Yeah.
I felt like that was
could be a combination of both.
Sure. So anyways,
can I? Yeah. It was interesting. There was two reactions there. JJ, when the names were read off, did you see JJ's reaction? He did the like, oh man, like another group date. Like he was expecting, I think, to not be named on the group date card.
Really?
Like he had a really interesting reaction.
So much time with her. Like he was the one that took her around the field when they were at the baseball field, and
So I just wonder if there's something that we're not seeing between Kaitlyn and JJ.
She spends a lot of time with him.
It's interesting because we talked about this last week. They didn't show his stand-up. They didn't show his rap. Like, there's some chunks of JJ's time that we haven't seen. We've only seen that negative thing with...
I don't think he's as much of a villain as they made him out to be in the first
What was the guy's name that he had the... Clint. Yeah, that's really the most camera time we got, and it was negative camera time. Really?
Yeah.
We see that they're spending a lot of time. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. Let us know what you guys think. But they take the guys out to this place, and around the corner walks a mariachi band, and a 12-year-old pops out with the coolest name ever. I'm Sebastian de la Cruz de Toro del Aro.
You wrote that down?
You better believe I did. That's his name. And he delivered it like a freaking champ. That kid...
It was impressive.
That kid was very impressive.
Ladies' man.
Ladies' man for sure. He probably just sweeps up ladies down there, like coming out as the voice of the mariachi band.
Yeah.
Todos los corazones.
Mis pantalones hacen fuego. Okay, so... he lets the guys know that they get to write and perform their own songs for Kaitlyn in front of the San Antonio public. You can see right away some of the guys are like, yeah, and some of the guys are like, holy crap, this is going to be awkward.
Do you think he was rehearsing that, by the way? Like, because he says the same sentence later. He says, I've stolen her heart, now it's up to you guys to steal it again. I can imagine him just standing in front of a mirror like, don't mess this up, don't mess this up. Your name? And he would say his name, my name is Emilio.
I have pride. I have power.
Yes.
I am a badass mother. Don't take no crap from no one. Say it again.
What is his name?
Say it again.
Okay.
My name is Sebastian de la Cruz de Toro del Aro.
You killed my father. Prepare to die.
We're mixing up so many movie quotes right now. He probably did rehearse a bunch, but I will say...
I hate you right now because he said that his intelligence level is above butt jokes and movie quotes.
I was like, bro, how do you think I find common ground? Why are Brooks and I even friends? Right?
Come on, Ian. What do you do when you're hanging out with your buds? I mean,
what else do you do?
That's all we do.
I stand by the fact that there's a period of my life in college I only communicated via movie quotes. There is my whole dorm of us. You
overdid it too, right? You were like, I gotta take
basketball,
that back.
and we only communicated via movie quotes for, I would say, a couple weeks.
I had a moment where I was on a date actually, and the girl said, "Do you say anything else other than movie quotes?" And I was like, "I gotta take it back."
Rein this back in. Yeah, you know what though? I was on a date and did the same thing, but she gave it right back, and I was like, "Okay, this is amazing." It's like having a beer. That's on the same level for me. It was like,
I think I know which date that was.
Which date was that?
The current one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Awkward.
Well, all right. I want to talk about something else that was awkward and very random. All of the guys, by the way, some of you guys noticed this, as they're rehearsing their songs, are listening to music on...
I know where you're going.
On Discmans. Like, what? I'm sorry, but why did they not call attention to this? That threw me off so far. On Discmans. Would you have a theory on this?
They don't want to give them iPods because they're too expensive.
I think there wasn't enough mariachi music actually on MP3, so they were like, we have these CDs. So then they were like, CDs, what? And then they had to go on a huge search for these compact.
They raided every pawn shop in San Antonio. Like, why do you find all these? They look brand new.
I actually did.
You go to Radio Shack because they're having 50% off everything.
Aren't they already
closing? No, there's one still open.
There's one.
Yeah.
Well,
you could buy them on eBay for probably like $12 each.
So I don't know if any stuck out to you guys. There's a couple that stuck out to me. Ian absolutely blew it. He set it up. He's like, I want to perform, show off my voice again. Absolutely blows it. Justin surprisingly has a great singing voice.
Before you move on the Ian thing, we saw this, like, he was so upset with himself after. He was like,
pissed.
I set myself up as a singer, and then he's like...
He cusses. He starts cussing a lot.
Oh, it was totally serious. I'm like, the whole point of that is to have fun, which Kaitlyn says immediately after they clip to her saying, I'm really glad people had fun on this date.
I think that he's very...
hard on himself?
Yeah, he's scared about coming off a certain way on TV.
Sure.
And seems a little bit like a perfectionist. And since he does hold himself to that higher standard, he talked about it later in the episode. He's like, I went to Princeton, I did this, I did that. So not being good at something or seeming like he wasn't good at something, I think
really bothers him.
Yeah.
Good. She found him on.
You can get a Walkman for as low as $12.50.
Or you can upgrade and get the Sony Walkman for $40.
Wow. Well, there you go. You guys didn't know we were going to do another live read for Sony Walkmans, did you? So, yeah, Ian blows it. We find out Justin kind of has a great mariachi singing voice. Joe sneaks in a kiss at the end of his, which was clever, I thought.
Didn't see a lot of Joe tonight.
Didn't see a lot of Joe, except he was funny when he was talking to the 12-year-old kid. He looked like the kid called him out. He's like, what about your serious side?
He was also shaking so much at the stadium. He was the one that was shaking the most from being cold. Yeah.
That means he doesn't have a lot of body fat. Just point it out. Body fat's like blubber. It's like a layer of warmth. Okay. Anyways, Nick takes her up on the balcony, does this grandiose gesture. I actually kind of love this because you got to do something to stand out. Oh, Brooks, that was close. He almost spilled water all over Cathy's lap. You guys didn't see it about.
He only knew to do that and had planned to do that because he had previous experience from his...
Sure, but I also think that's the kind of guy he is. He's a guy who will make a statement. He doesn't care to make a fool of himself. He will make a statement.
Or he also is buddies with the producers at this point and was like, hey, what should I... Or like they said, you should go do that.
Well...
To piss off the other guys even more.
But I thought it was interesting. I wrote this down, that after he's done, the only person who comments on it, or that they show commenting on it, is the same person who was the first to be very inquisitive of him, is Tanner. And he goes, we should have thought of it. Props to the guy.
I see Tanner and Nick being friends outside of this situation. Right? They seem very similar in a lot of regards.
Yeah.
Like having the same humor and being smart.
Who's the other guy we didn't see a lot of either tonight? He, not to fast forward, but I'm going to. Do the rose ceremony. She gives the rose at the.
Jared?
I can't even talk. Use your words, Brooks. Use your words.
They didn't have a rose ceremony.
Well, the group date rose. She gives it to Nick, right? There's this after Josh and her talks, and it's this really intense moment. And she gets up and she's like, you know what? I'm giving the rose to Nick. Someone shakes his hand
behind Josh's back. Yeah,
someone's like, "Hey, man!" And
it's Jeff Holmes lookalike. The guy said it looks like Jeff Holmes.
Justin.
Yeah, it's Justin.
Okay, interesting.
It was so difficult.
Right? Because for so long, we see there are two things are happening right now. We're only getting a little bit of it because most of the guys, he's saying, I feel like I'm accepted by most of the guys except for Josh. Josh is really pissed off. But we're still seeing these little ITMs where people are like, I'm not sure about Nick still, blah, blah, blah. And then Josh throws him under the bus. And then there they are shaking his hand like, good job, man. Yeah. And I'm like, what a big reversal they pulled on us tonight.
That's absolutely true. And by the way, Nick had the best line. We have a great connection, and it gives me a great erection. I thought that was really funny.
They bleeped out. that, though.
They did. Okay, so we move to the night version or night portion of the group date. Josh lets her cut his hair.
Just gonna say, I see why they're compatible, though. They have the same type of humor.
Oh yeah, that was right in the plow of my field.
Yeah.
She lost it. She was like, he has a terrible singing voice, but he's serenading me.
He's funny. Like he's very confident.
Yeah.
So
Josh lets her cut his hair. She takes a chunk out. Her reaction to that, by the way, was very freaking funny when she was like trying to be quiet because he had the blindfold in. Yes, it was
it was great.
So
Priceless.
funny. And then let's just move on and talk about the Josh and Nick thing. So let's talk about Josh as a whole now. Josh confronts Nick and asks him some questions. Do you guys down with what he did there with confronting Nick again? Nick hadn't done anything more to anyone.
This is post talking to her?
This is right before he talks to her.
Right. He's like, I can't shake this.
He's like, I can't shake this, man.
You don't know if there have been things that they didn't show.
Right, there's a ton.
Parts off camera or just the general feeling. I mean, this is something that like a lot of the girls said in Chris Soules' season is there were things off camera or in their hotel or whatever that Britt did that didn't seem like it was just a disconnect from how she was when the cameras were off to when she was in front of Chris.
Yeah.
And I think that might be maybe what Josh is experiencing, or he just has such a negative idea of Nick that he can't get past that. And
I think that's a sad part because if you're ever going to go on the show, note this down. Write it down.
Write it down.
Write this down.
Write it down, kids.
Don't ever lose focus on why you're there. Like, he's there for her, and he gets hyper-focused on this Nick situation. And, like, how are you ever going to... You already have limited time with this person, so who cares about what Nick is doing? You know what I mean? So
we see this every season. Someone does this.
Someone falls into this trap.
Every
I think I even wrote
season.
that down, trap.
And you know what was interesting to me is the way Josh comes at Nick, and I loved Nick's. I even said it out loud as we were watching. I was like, that was a great response. He said a lot of things that are great, but he goes, when asked specifically, he was pressed about Andy. He said it was a great relationship, one I'll never forget, one I'll never be ashamed of, and one I've let go. It was almost like he had rehearsed it, but like it was like he could drop the mic and walk away. Like that's the best thing. He wasn't a dick. He wasn't sly. He was straightforward with this is what it is, and that's the best answer you can get. What I thought was most interesting is the way Josh reacts. He just goes, "Okay." It was kind of like he wanted to be like, "Dang it, you got me there, Nick."
I thought those rumors were all fake when People magazine or whatever magazine was saying that Andy and Nick had hung out after her breakup with Josh. I thought those were fake.
Well, and it was nice to hear him confirm it, but like to say, yeah, we buried the hatchet. Like they probably could get along.
But then if they buried the hatchet, why was she tweeting all last week, watch out for Nick? She did that publicly several times.
I think you can still bury the hatchet with somebody about your issue. Doesn't mean she has to like him, but like, hey, we talked, him and I are good, but that doesn't mean that like I'm going to have his back or fight for him.
Maybe she meant watch out for Nick as in watch out for Nick because her and he might be in
cahoots.
No, I'm saying like watch out for Nick. He might be going far. As in saying he's a good guy? You don't think so?
I don't know.
You think she's saying watch out for the backstabber?
Yeah.
About 36 Greeks goes, I will be on this show, Brooks. Remember my name, Jason Sideris, in 3 years.
And do not, Jason Sideris, fall into the trap. I'm writing it down. I'm going to write Jason Sideris.
Is he not legal yet? Like, why is it going to be 3 years?
I don't know, but he's got a 3-year plan. Get off the kid's back.
I think that Josh was right in voicing his feelings because you do want to be honest with whoever you're going to end up with.
Yeah.
At the same time, it is difficult because you want to not be competing with someone. The only person you should be competing with is yourself. But I think that he just didn't act in the right way. And
then he goes and talks to Kaitlyn.
Drunk. Too.
He didn't seem drunk to me.
He had wine in his hand the entire time. When he came back to the guys the second time and lied to them, he seemed a little tipsy.
He didn't. Yeah, I didn't get that, but maybe I missed it. I didn't get that. I got a very out of the norm Josh. I got a very like he was shaken and didn't even know how to place his words together.
Because he felt genuinely bad when he did say something at first to Kaitlyn, and he tried to backtrack.
And she forced him to speak for everybody because he was like, oh no, I don't want to do this, but
I wouldn't trust Kaitlyn. This is the third time this season where she's had a private conversation with someone, and it seemed like something that should be kept between just them, and then she goes back and tells all of the guys. That's the third time she's done that.
Yeah, she's like, oh, thanks. Hey, guys, this is what he just told me. I want to verify if this is true. Yeah, that is true. Good point, Cathy.
Yeah, that was really awkward. I'm surprised I thought it was trending towards she was going to send Josh home right then and there. Like, okay, you just lied to the guys. You lied to me. See ya. You know what I mean? I thought that was a done deal right there. I'm kind of surprised that didn't happen, but
because she said, you know what, and she went and like grabbed the rose, and I thought she was gonna be like, I'm gonna give this to Nick, and I'm gonna send you home. Like
that would have been so BA. I kind of would have loved that.
See you later.
Anything else from the group date?
That escalated really quickly. Had he not lied to the guys about having time with her a second and
sorry, movie quote.
Yeah, why? So you think he said he was trying to protect him? I thought it was strange that he just said that he was like, why not just say like, yeah, I was talking. Yeah. He didn't have to tell him tell the guys what he was talking about with Kaitlyn. That was strange.
Yeah, that was. Somebody asked what Andy's job is now. I don't know either, actually. I assume she's
not a DA anymore?
Yeah, I assume she's practicing law somewhere, but she does travel quite a freaking bit.
No, former. She doesn't.
I feel like
I don't know if she has to
They
anymore.
make a lot of money from stuff.
Yeah, they make a lot of money from stuff. Okay, so let's move on to this. We got a lot to get through still here. Well, the one-on-one with Shawn. You said this was also one of your favorite dates, Cathy. So you maybe have been to the Riverwalk. You don't remember. You've never been there. The Riverwalk, you're not allowed to have. It's not a very deep river, and it runs in the middle of these sidewalks, and there's bridges that go over. There's these tour ferries that go up and down. Maybe 30 people can fit on them. Sometimes they have dinner parties on them. So like you're having dinner going up and down this river, and you get to the end, and there's like a circle roundabout, then you can go back the other way. That's it, though. There's nothing else allowed on the water. So that's why the kayak was so... That's why she said nobody's allowed to do this.
Yeah, I was curious about that.
So they like shut these tours down and let them kayak. It was very cool. And you could see people, because you can literally eat on the water's edge. If this is the water's edge, you eat right here. Everybody was watching because they saw the whole production.
I love kayaking.
Kayaking a blast. And that was very neat. It's very like trees and there's lights. It's shaded. It's very pretty. So
it looked like another country. It didn't look like Texas.
Didn't she say that? It looks like Italy or something like that. Yeah, it does. It very much does. So it was very, very cool. Tell me what you guys are seeing on this date, because I saw nothing but chemistry.
I love, first off, that when they began talking, Shawn took the time to stand up for Josh. And that's something that I don't know that we've ever seen in a season. He took the time to stand up for someone as opposed to say bad things about someone, or he didn't even have to mention another guy. But he said that he just thought that it was out of context or whatever.
It's a good point.
They do have a lot of chemistry. They finished each other's sentences.
They said something at the same time.
Yeah, they said something at the same time. And then you can always tell when people like don't just kiss on the lips, like they were kissing each other's faces like all over. That shows love.
The higher you go on the face, the more in love with them you are.
She like kissed his nose, like kissed her eyebrow or something. Yeah.
All right. What did you think about him talking about the car accident? That really shook him to talk about it.
He got emotional.
He did. He looked away and then kind of put his head behind her. But
I think it was more, the emotion was from, not from the car accident, because that was years ago, but I think that it was him saying, I'm so glad that I came out of that because I know that it was everything in my life since then was leading me to this point.
Yeah, that was big. And then she reassured him by kissing him on the cheek, which I thought was very, showed her affection, her side of things.
Yeah, I think and then he continued, obviously, to say that he was falling in love with her. So I think he did a great job in opening up and communicating, which...
That's early.
Yeah.
Have we ever seen it that early?
4 weeks in, first one to drop it. Yeah, I'm falling in love with you.
Well, it feels like we see these different words, right? Like, I'm falling for her. She's my girlfriend. Like, every week we're gonna see these different phrases come out, and I think this is like a week 7. A week 8 phrase. It's definitely not a week 4 phrase.
It's an early one.
What she says in
I have the quote. Can I read it?
I wrote it down too, but yeah.
She goes, this is after the Moonlight Canoe Ride with fireworks over the top, which was awesome. Shawn is the guy that I gave the first impression rose to, and he's the guy I can't wait to give other roses to, and he could be the guy
Oh, that wasn't my quote.
I give my final rose to. Oh.
She said, I feel like that's my husband telling me he loves me for the first time.
Whoa!
Did you miss that?
No, that's amazing.
That was huge. And then she said, I feel the same way too, which kind of makes me, I mean, they seem so comfortable together where I'm like, yes, that's it. Like, that seems like he's the front runner. But then I'm like, is it too obvious? Are they just throwing this and something goes wrong?
Yeah, from
down
an
the line?
editing standpoint, that's a very big thing to give us this early in the show. Yeah, it's a good point. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we get to Ian?
No.
All right, this obviously Shawn, it's going great. So meanwhile, back in the house, Ian goes off about not feeling like he's getting validated. It was interesting too. Nick walks in and he kind of like threw some bait for Nick to say some things, and Nick stayed Switzerland on it. He didn't get into it. He didn't make himself look bad. He didn't throw Ian under the bus. And he just kind of goes off. I'm a Princeton grad, former model that defied death, who's been around the world a couple times. And then he even throws out that he'd like to be the next Bachelor, which he threw out a couple times.
I think that was prompted for him to say. They were like, well, do you feel like it would be easier on you if the roles were reversed, like if you were the Bachelor? And he would say, yes. And, well, do you think you would make a great Bachelor? Yes, on paper. Like, I went to Princeton. I'm charismatic. I'm whatever. So I think that that's what that was from. It seemed very heavily edited. Granted, some of the things that he said, you can't edit together, but at the same time, I think that it made him look worse with the editing.
Like, you can't edit together a phrase like, I'm like a gift that should be unwrapped.
Yeah.
That was shades of Kelsey a little bit.
Yeah, that was
not the same, but
we all were like, whoa, what?
Well, it was like blows left and right. He goes, he says the Alamo is where his last name was made and where my journey comes to an end. So he kind of prefaces with that, and then he goes on. She's not half as hot as my ex-girlfriend. He said, these are quotes. I'm an enigma and a gift you unwrap for life. I meet chicks and I have a lot of sex in my own life. I feel like you are here to make out with a bunch of dudes on TV. Just stuff left and right where I'm like,
I can't trust you.
When he was talking directly to her, that was bad. That was the only part where I cringed.
Yeah, you could see her kind of change too, and she backs up and kind of purses her lips and is like, okay.
Well, but it's like the non-graceful way to go out. You know that this person isn't interested in you, and it's not saying that you're a bad person or you don't offer enough. It's just that they have a better connection with the other person.
Yeah.
And it's hard to cope with at times, but it's not saying anything against you as a human being or that you're less of someone.
Yeah.
What's the quote? Once you feel like you have to
prove your worth
to someone, they're not worth dating.
Proving to, yeah. Here's my thing with the whole Ian thing. I think that it was a downward spiral, and he did wait too long to voice it, so it built up, and then he just word vomit. Here it is. You know what I mean? I think some of what he feels is valid. Like, he hasn't gotten validated, but that's not Kaitlyn's fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He even said to the guys, he said, well, I think you have to make your own opportunities. So here we go, I guess, is what he said. Well, yeah, if you haven't got time with her, make some more time, and then you maybe would have seen earlier that she wasn't the one, or you do think you feel this way about her.
He is also, just going to say it, he lives in LA, and I think that dating in LA is a little bit different, whereas in other places across the country, the guys usually pursue the girls, and here dating is a little bit different, where
girls do pursue guys.
He has this pick of the crop.
The litter.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to say about that too is sometimes you feel like it could be a double standard, as when Kaitlyn, this crossed my mind, Kaitlyn, she can call people out, but if anyone calls her out, we immediately pull back. But I feel like that's because most of the things that she does point out are warranted. And I feel like some of the things that Ian has said to her, like, I feel like you're surfacey. I don't believe that at all. Because just because she likes movie quotes and or she likes to joke about things, that doesn't mean she's surfacey. That means that's her personality. And if you don't like that, then yes, you're 100% right. You guys aren't a good match, and hit the road.
She's surfacey with him because they don't have a connection. She clearly has connections with other guys.
Right.
And they're going to go deeper. So
On that news, we got to wrap this up soon. We go news and gossip real quick. I think we got a little bit of news and gossip.
You have some?
Well, so a couple things. One, the story broke this week that there was a Snapchat incident. I know a lot of people are already talking about it in the chat roll that Kaitlyn sent a Snapchat of her and what looks like Shawn, which was confirmed by several people, in bed. And it's one of those, if you guys aren't on Snapchat, it looks like she actually tried to privately send it to one person. It got posted on a public space on Snapchat called Your Story, where people saw it, screenshotted it before she was able to delete it, and then it was quickly spread like wildfire.
A little bit of a spoiler alert.
And some of us know and some of us don't.
Some of us know and some of us don't who it is. So here's the question. If it is, could it be a stunt, is my question. Mm-hmm. Could it be a stunt by the show to also play into what we saw happen tonight and what relationships we're seeing take the lead, and to make us think it's one way so that the flip at the last episode is greater than maybe before? Because Snapchat is new and wasn't really this popular last season, this is the most popular it's ever been, could it be a stunt?
Yes. Because who can't delete the picture that fast?
No, because if she has like 80,000 followers on Snapchat,
I know people that get 500,000-600,000 opens on their eyes on their Snapchat.
A second?
Right. I get like 10 people within a minute on mine, and I'm nobody.
There have been
I don't get that.
Not anything provocative or anything, but there have been times when I've sent Snapchats and I mean to send them to a friend, and I accidentally just my story them, and I'll have like three views on them before I get to close it out.
Now, granted, nobody's screenshotting mine. I hardly ever get people screenshotting my stuff. Yeah. But like, if it's going to be something like that, of course, people are following for that reason. One of the reasons I follow Kaitlyn, if you guys don't, on Snapchat, it's Snapback Bean, but she does her own little Bachelorette review the morning after. Like, she did it last week in her car.
So even more reason for why it might be a stunt.
See, and so I kind of think there's a little bit of fuel to this. At first, I didn't, but I kind of think that could be a stunt.
I don't know. I think that it was just, we've seen with social media being incorporated into The Bachelor and Bachelorette during the seasons, in the past couple seasons, there have been some spoilers or some people like questioning certain things.
I mean, if she did, she could get sued. Like, that's a huge
breach of contract.
But how shitty would that be? Bachelorette sues Kaitlyn. You know, that would
still, but like, she could or lose out on some of the money that, you know what I mean? Something like that's crazy. So, any other news and gossip? I will say this: I've started to notice some people not posting on Instagram and social media, which is giving fuel to the fire that they are on Bachelor in Paradise right now. So if you have people you're wondering if they are, just go check out their pages. I know a couple people for sure that have not posted in a while, so I'm guessing that's where they are.
Yeah. Bachelor in Paradise is going to be wild.
Yeah, do you know anything that you can talk about? I don't want to know.
But I mean, it's going to be wild.
Announced
I know
some of the cast members already.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
I'm excited for it.
Anything else? Any other predictions for next week? Who goes home? Let's move into predictions.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Kathy, Brooks, who goes home?
I don't even remember people's names. On predictions, I wrote Shawn and Ben H are going to be new top twos. We didn't see any of Chris, Mr. Cupcake.
Yeah, we didn't really.
I think Ian goes home.
I think Ian goes home, and I think Josh goes home.
Oh,
I think she sends two home.
I think Josh gets one more chance.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Because Shawn stuck up for him, and I think that she sees that as well.
I think the guy we haven't seen a lot of will go home. The guy who Justin will go home.
Maybe.
Maybe JJ.
Well, that's a lot to send home. I think only two go home.
Well, I only picked two, Justin and JJ.
Sound like you said a lot of names.
What about Ian?
J. Crew. Well, you already picked.
I think there will be some drama, though. I will say this before we wrap. I think there will be some drama with Ian. I think something's going to happen where the guys, like somebody might get in his face or something. Even though they didn't tease it, I just feel like something might happen because he went off on her. And they showed a preview. She was still sitting there and he was walking away. Like, he got up and was like, peace out. So, which is not cool to Kaitlyn. So, anyways, anything else, you guys?
Nope. Is it going to be, are we going to see what happens next week or why she's crying and the big mistake? Or is it, again?
I think it's 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
I think it's 2 weeks away. Yeah, she's somebody. There's something that happens. And Shawn looked pissed. Guys, in the meantime, we will be back next week probably with a full panel, maybe with a guest. Possibly.
Yeah, let's get a guest.
In the meantime, Brooks, where can people find you?
On Twitter. At Brooks Forster. That's the best place. Let's communicate.
Last week it was Snapchat.
We mass communicating. I do better on Twitter.
All right.
You can find me on Twitter at Catherine Kelley and on Instagram at Cathy Kelley.
And Mark, where can people find you, my friend?
Find me on Twitter at SoapboxMark.
And hosting turtle races. I'm Danny Hoyt. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Danny Hoyt or on Snapchat at DannyHoyt47. I love communicating with you guys. I got a couple snaps from like India this week and crazy stuff. It was kind of cool. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. This has been your Bachelorette AfterBuzz TV show. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.